Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are exploring a pretty persistent gray area in our justice system.
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult to navigate, honestly.
Right. We are extracting the most critical insights from a 2025 Supreme Court judgment, Pradeep Kumar Kesarwani v. State of UP. And the hook for you today is this really relatable, albeit dark, human drama. When a long-term romantic relationship ends, does a broken promise to marry amount to the crime of rape?
It is a heavy question, and the facts here are genuinely shocking. A woman filed a criminal complaint 4 whole years after her relationship ended.
4 entire years.
Yes, 4 years. And despite that massive delay, a magistrate actually issued a rape summons against her former partner. Which brings up the core tension we are looking at. How does the justice system balance protecting genuine victims with preventing the misuse of criminal law for personal vengeance?
I mean, 4 years is a lifetime. Let's look at the timeline. So back in 2010, 2 young people meet at a coaching institute in Allahabad. A romance blossoms, they become intimate. Then the man moves to Faridabad. Families get involved. There are some major clashes. Police are even called. The relationship completely breaks down. And then, out of nowhere, in 2014, this private complaint is filed.
To understand how a delayed complaint like that escalates to a full-blown rape charge, we really have to slow down. We need to look at how the Supreme Court applies a purposive interpretation of the law.
Which basically means they do not just blindly read the statute.
Exactly. They look at the actual intent behind it. Specifically, they focused on Section 376 of the Indian Penal Code, which dictates rape punishments, and Section 90, which deals with consent given under a misconception of fact.
Wait, so her argument was basically, I only consented because he promised marriage, making that promise the misconception.
Yes, but the court drew a very crucial distinction here. They separated a simple breach of promise from a false promise.
Because life just happens sometimes.
Precisely. A breach of promise means there was a genuine intent to marry from the start. But maybe families objected or they just grew apart. That is not a crime.
But a false promise is different.
Totally different. A false promise means there was zero intention to marry from day one. The promise was just a deceptive trap for sexual access. In that scenario, the deception completely invalidates the consent.
Okay, but knowing how high that bar is, proving what was in someone's head on day one, how did the court look at the 4-year delay here?
This brings us to Section 482 of the Criminal Procedure Code. This gives high courts the inherent power to quash or just throw out baseless criminal proceedings. The court emphasized that judges cannot mechanically accept perfectly drafted complaints.
Right, because anyone can hire a lawyer to hit the exact right P words.
Exactly. Judges have to read between the lines to stop malicious prosecutions. And to do that, they applied the rigorous Rajiv Thapar 4-step test to see if a trial would be an abuse of the process.
How does that test actually work?
It basically asks, does the accused have impeccable proof of innocence? Does that proof completely rule out the allegations? Has the accuser failed to refute it? If yes to all, a trial is just an abuse of the system.
So applying that to the Kesarwani case, the verdict makes total sense.
Oh.
The Supreme Court quashed the case entirely.
I absolutely did.
They cited the massive 4-year delay, the vague allegations, and the vindictive nature of it all. I mean, the complainant didn't even show up to the Supreme Court proceedings.
Yeah, which brings us to the practical takeaways for you listening. For the general public, the message is that a difficult breakup is not a crime.
Definitely not.
And waiting years to file without a valid reason severely destroys your legal credibility.
And for the legal professionals listening, you must master that Rajiv Thapar test to quash bogus FIRs. Crucially, in false promise cases, you have to prove or disprove deceptive intent existed at the exact moment the sexual relationship began. Subsequent relationship changes do not retroactively make consensual intimacy a crime.
Which leaves you with an incredibly difficult question to ponder.
If criminal liability in these cases hinges entirely on proving a person's hidden intentions at the exact moment intimacy began, how can a court ever reliably peer into someone's mind years after a relationship has ended? Something for you to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.